T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Midheaven Podcast. My name is Candice Marie. This is my partner in crime, Mike, aka the Peace Dealer, aka Mr. Godiva, aka
Gemini man before Gemini rising man.
Shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How are you doing?
Well, first of all, I'd like to toast.
Oh yeah, toast to, what are we toasting to?
We're toasting to the rise of the dark side.
AKA Gemini season?
And the new age of Aquarius.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll drink to that. Even though by the time you guys are watching this, you're like, what? It might still be Gemini season. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, cheers to that.
Yes.
It's good.
That's interesting.
It's really good. So,
Wow.
we are not supported by this company, but we would like to be.
That's not bad at all.
This is a local distillery, Lost Spirits, pineapple flavored rum, 47.2%.
Ooh.
It's good. It's smooth.
It's hot, yeah. Well, not too hot, but.
My husband and I thought it would be a good idea while we were drunk on vacation to invest in this company, only to find out that we bought shares. So now we're supporting them. It's a local distillery. They also have one in LA. Maybe you guys have seen Lost Spirits, but I tried this and I was like, I need to have it. It was like that one, or they have like a cherry one, but that one's really sweet. Oh, you like cherry drinks?
I mean, it tastes like it.
We should go. I know we were talking about it, but we should go because they're having like monthly events. So maybe we can do that. Yeah, maybe we'll do a little spot for the spirits.
That would be cool.
Be like, hi, do you guys want some tarot readers to add to your fucking circus soirees?
Did they let us like GoPro it?
That would be cool. We should try to do that. When you say GoPro, do you mean like drunk goggles or?
Yeah, at least get some footage.
That could be kind of fun, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even
Well,
if we like
let's see. Maybe we can do something.
Mission Impossible Day. I got it like.
I think you would like it. It's weird. It's like
Nice.
weird and it's wacky, and they have people with snakes, and they have like magicians and performers. It's very like Cap Moon weirdness.
In Aqua, North
Yeah.
Node.
Yeah, it's funky. I like it. So do you want to tell the kids what we're going to be talking about today?
Well,
I feel like we do this like subliminally, but this is the first episode that we're just going to come out with it.
okay, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Now that you say that. And we'll just like, I guess we're just directly going into your shadow. Then the 12 aspects of your shadow, or the 12 shades.
We're just going to
of your
serve the
shadow.
fucking tea in this episode. We have yet to have an episode. We break things down. We talk to you guys about the different month and like what sun sign we're in and what's kind of going on. We've definitely talked at length about like some of the kind of higher and lower octaves of the 12 signs, but this episode is going to be talking about the dark side of each and every one of the 12 zodiac signs, our hot takes on maybe some things that we've noticed and that we've picked up.
Yeah, you're going to start noticing stuff about people you know this episode. Like, oh, snap.
A lot of people are going to be like, I feel seen, you know? All right, so obviously we say all of this just with the experience of like looking at charts.
Yeah.
Not personal bias. Obviously, we're both going to have our own personal experiences with specific signs, but this is more just something that may be obvious or not so obvious. I'm not talking about like, oh, Geminis are this way, or Tauruses are this way, or Pisces are this way. It's just more that natural kind of more yin, darker polarity of each individual sign and stuff that's just inherently there. So don't take it personally. We all have some stuff going on. You want to start with Aries?
Well, actually, let's take a different approach to this
Because Mercury's retrograde and Mike's feeling extremely introspective. Okay.
And we have a golden opportunity here because I feel like the two signs we represent too are like
The villains?
Yeah, in a way. So like we understand the shadow. I think Scorpio and Gemini understand shadow, and like the other signs too. So
I feel like Pisces and Virgo understand shadow too.
ultimately, in an ultimate sense, like completing the whole perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Okay.
But okay, so in that vein, right? Before we go into the signs, what do you feel about the whole notion where the light side or the positive attribute of a sign, obviously there's positive and negative, but in the sense where some people express that as a mask and the negative is actually their real self?
That's usually how it is most of the time.
Okay.
I hate to be like that, but maybe that's just like a Libra rising
I
thing.
feel like as a
but-
Scorpio, is that what you see more in people? Like people trying to think that they're the...
I mean, I don't think people do it consciously.
Right, it's unconscious.
I don't think they do it consciously. But I also think that a lot of that is just due to the cultural environment that we've been in
Right,
for the better
yeah.
part of like the last few decades, that we want to put this best foot forward. We want to wear
the
the
stigma
mask.
and
There's
taboo
this,
behind
especially
it.
like since like social media, like really ever since, Uranus entered into Aquarius, Aries, there's this all-consuming sense of here's my life, here's what I do, here's me donating, here's me doing this, doing that, and like there's a sense
Right.
of wanting to project
Yeah,
something.
that's so true.
But are we really that behind the scenes?
Right.
Oftentimes, no. Oftentimes, there is going to be some sense, and whether that's just the person or that's their astrological placement, there is some sense of it, the true self eventually kind of being
Right.
revealed much more in a private sense.
Okay. So, all right. So, the first thing we want to look at, and I feel like as a Gemini sun, or having that, I can give a more broader, surface level look at what it is. And then with your Scorpio, that's so deeply psychological, you can give us more like, so I feel like y'all see it like X-ray vision, and especially you'll be able to like archetypalize it. But in the case of the zodiac signs, I've personally come to learn that the first 4 signs versus the next 4 signs versus the last 4 signs, we see like a progression of how that shadow is expressed. And so with the individual signs, like from Aries to Cancer, that's literally from like age 0 to 12.
Right.
So I personally believe that it's impossible I feel like evil starts at Leo. And it's impossible for Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer to be evil. They're really more petty and childish than evil. Evil that you'll see in this range or darkness is corrupted because they were molested or they were corrupted by the older influences. Like I'm convinced Libra is where evil begins because of Leo, where love can be evil, where once Leo gets betrayed, like Scorpio, it's perverted. So I believe that Libra officially is where evil begins because it's so intelligent. It's not like Aries, which is literally the baby, like the shadow of Aries is impulsivity versus Libra, which is calm and calculating, and you're just so intelligent. You're gonna know how to finesse situations, personally.
I feel like you're like giving Aries through Cancer a pass because you're like, oh, you're fucked up because you're a product of your environment.
Yeah, I truly believe, like, I look at them as like children. So like normally evil, like Taurus, like Hitler is seen as one of the most evil people ever, right? And he's a Taurus sun, but he has a Capricorn moon.
And Virgo rising.
And Virgo rising. So like the darkness of just those first 4 is so pure. It's like a mischievous child.
But it's in his 4th. Okay, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
You have all of that energy, at least his moon, right? His moon's playing out in his 4th house. It's well known that
Virgo rising. I see.
Hitler was trying to be an artist and was rejected and was very angry about that because he wasn't able to get his work out there and get recognition and be seen.
Right.
Cat Moon 4th house already has some mom issues. Don't get me started. So there can be this sense of, because growing up in a more militant environment, or a cold or kind of detached from family or family relations environment, are you going to say that that explains why he had no problem basically uprooting certain individuals, separating families? I mean,
that's the cat. We don't care. We're heartless.
Right, but my point is I guess this is going to differ from astrologer to astrologer. It's within the first 4 houses. Are you talking in sequential order from the ascendant? Or are you going based off of signs?
That's a really good question. I'm going based off a sign as far as flavor, because the house is really important and aligns, and I feel like it's more where it plays out. But if we're just talking about the sign, you know what I mean? Like, if you manipulate the anger of Aries, which is just pure anger, it has to be, it's not a child that's gonna do that. It's an adult. It's a Sagittarius.
Do you know Aries people or Aries moons? I mean, they're children.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're children.
They're children. They're kids. So like this is where like the shadow, you know, before we go into the actual signs, I feel like when you look at the first 4 signs, it's a more childish.
So you're going based off of like
age.
Yes. So like the first 4 signs, what do we call them?
Like Scorpio is purity, right?
We call them personal, the personal
the
sign,
individual,
the social, and then
so like social is now where through peer pressure, when you go to school, that's when you start to learn stuff that, you know, individually you may not have learned. Like you start to get influenced, and you feel things more intensely. You're more intelligent. The capacity for evil opens up. You know, you eat the fruit, and now you're falling in Libra, you know, with the sun. But you're gonna see me talk a lot of shit, guys. Once we get past the Libra, like Scorpio to me is pure, and it's pure evil, but only because like if it's distorted, it's evil. But if it's so extreme, like it's either pure or it's pure evil. Where Pisces is just pure evil. But like, you know, the first 4 are like the pure babies before they get corrupted like shit to Cancer, and then like move forward.
There is a sense of like new to the world, innocent. They don't know better. You know, I get that. I'm just always been somebody who's like, houses trump signs. Like I see the signs as the filter of where the energy comes through.
And the flavor, right?
Right. So if somebody's got a stellium of planets that's going to be in their 8th house, their 10th house, their 11th house, I'm going to be like, okay. You know, like it's very clearly that a lot of that is about the interaction that you're having like with other people out in the world. So, you know, a lot of your behavior and how you behave and how you act, it's, I don't know. Let's get into it. I want to hear what you have to say.
Let's get it. Okay, so the next 4, so the last 4 signs are just like the masters of shadow, like just so considerably evil. Like you have Capricorn, which is just like the greatest evil that exists after it starts with Libra, and then Aquarius is literally evil genius. Like we're gonna get into it. Aquarius, no, I look up to it. And then Pisces is just pure evil, just like Majin Buu, you know what I mean? But okay, so my bad. I just wanted to like
No, I get it. I want to hear you out before you talk your shit, babe.
Then okay, let's talk about the elements. So like, what do you feel?
Fire signs are the devil.
Okay, right. That's hellfire. It's literal hellfire. And then earth signs are just like
earth signs
so
are
incredibly manipulative. But see,
water.
Earth.
I feel like air signs.
Earth can be fair.
Are probably the bottom of that list, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're just super insensitive, and we don't really care about your feelings.
No, they're just direct. I'm a Libra rising. I get it. It's just direct.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? But I feel like the real villains of the Zodiac are going to be the fire signs.
Well, Aries is the premier villain. And then Libra, the selfish one. And no, it's really true, because you have to love fire, too. But they'll burn everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
but they're active, though. They need to create that orchestrated chaos. I mean, they have to initiate something in some sense.
Highest infidelity rates, too.
Really?
Will come from fire. They are Leo, Aries, Sag, all cheat. Sag,
really?
Oh, even the women. But see, to their defense, they're so passionate. They don't mean to cheat on you. It's just in the moment they got taken over, you know what I'm saying? And then they have water in the water houses, so they're not going to tell you, like, This is why you find
some truth to
Sagittarius.
that.
Right, this is why you
There's
find
some truth to
Sag
that.
men. Like, she Offset, always cheating on Cardi, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and to them, to their defense, it's like their father is Jupiter. So you kind of have to let Sag be free, personally. But, I mean, if you cheat on them, it's totally different. Like, they're going to, you know what I'm saying? But, okay, so water, I feel like water is pure, but water takes in its environment. So if water is in a very shitty environment and around evil people, they'll be evil. But if they're around pure people, they'll be actually pure.
Water also seeps in and affects things in a way that's very unusual. You know? Like you don't see a water main break coming. You don't see something necessarily like overflowing or suddenly like getting flooded. And I think that water uses a very yin and very emotional and very manipulative sense sometimes to be able to kind of find everybody's soft spots, their weak points, their fears, their this, their that, and can use them in a way that's very calculating.
That was the most Libra-rising way to like say water is our doom, guys. Like, we're made up of water. Like, they're like the psychic overlords. So like you'll never even know they're manipulating the shit out of you. They're actually very scary. So this is where, you know what I'm saying? So Cancer's holiness and Scorpio's purity and then Pisces divinity. But what's the dark side of that? Like, you're fucked. Like, there's nothing you can really do. Like,
I feel like at least water signs are going to be a lot more open and forthcoming about that. Like, it's really hard for water signs to control their emotions. So it's like you're getting this very unfiltered version, which is usually, I mean, very watery, waterworks, crying when you're angry, crying when you're mad, when you're sad, whatever, that you may not always see from other signs. So you're going to kind of get hit very quickly with a wave of that. So you already know.
That's just what you want to show them, though, because like there's also the other side of the water that you'll never know because they feel it, but they're not going to tell you because they're going to like completely destroy you and you're fucked. Like, water is it's a tsunami. Like, it's very, but then see, like, is that worse than fire? Like, each element is just ridiculous.
Well, all
in its own
elements
way.
can destroy.
Yeah.
There can be destruction with all elements, but I feel like if I had to put it in order, it would be like fire, water, earth, air.
Air, right. Yes, and far as intensity, I feel. Because earth is like the pettiest. And I have a lot of earth, so I'm biased. That's kind of like that kind of, but like earth could be like so calculating and analytically petty. Like, you don't want to fuck with earth, really.
I have like grown to kind of like love the Capricorn stallions, though.
Yeah, me too.
From like
me
the late
too.
80s to the early 90s.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of like looked at it, but for me, I have it in a water house, so I have it in the fourth house. So it's very different. It's like mastering that fourth house energy. So when people make jokes about Cancers, I'm internally slightly offended. Even though I'm a Scorpio, I only have 4 planets in Capricorn on my fourth, 4 planets in Scorpio on my second. That's my chart. That's my chart. Other than a fire moon, which obviously definitely comes out when I feel like being sassy. But otherwise, I feel like I'm like this freaky Taurus Cancer hybrid. So when people like talk shit about Cancers, I like I'm like, oh yeah, I feel that. Like, we really are that crazy. You know?
And that's crazy about Cancer, because they'll be totally perfect and not crazy until they're just like crazy.
Cancer doesn't forget the past.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's difficult with Cancer or like fourth house placements.
And they hold Taurus and Cancer hold so much grudges.
Yeah.
Which you can see this in DJ academics. Like, DJ academics will always bring up old beefs with people who've like said shit about him, and like it's so hilariously entertaining because like he'll go in and it's like, this was years ago, but like they'll always bring it back, and like just knowing he's Taurus Cancer moon is just like amazing. But okay, so the air you said was least 2, which air I feel I see. I'm glad you said that.
I feel like it's more because they're matter of fact.
No, it's very true.
You know,
it's very
I don't feel like air placements are trying to be evil geniuses.
No.
I feel like this very kind of come and go. It is what it is. No. You know, and it's weird because I feel like I've probably the signs I've had the least issues with have been air signs, and I have no air in my chart at all.
That's wild.
But they're just very matter of fact, kind of detached,
so
rational, logical, communicative, objective. At least they communicate, you know? They don't just like ghost you like a water sign would, or cheat on you like a fire sign, or get crazy emotional and like want to burn your house down like a water sign. Air signs are just like, hey, it is what it is. You know?
I feel like earth signs are a version of that too.
They're so petty though. Earth signs are so fucking petty.
Yes.
They're so fucking petty.
In the ways that are inspiring sometimes. Sometimes it'd be inspiring. Like,
is it inspiring though?
No, I mean like
I've seen some of the pettiest shit come from earth signs than
in 1, 2, 3, we're gonna say the pettiest earth sign.
Ready?
1, 2, 3.
Virgo.
Yes!
Virgo.
Yes!
Yes, Virgo.
Ah, yes!
Yeah, it is Virgo.
Oh, Virgo.
But Taurus is a close second, though.
Yeah, that's true. Taurus
is a close second.
Yeah.
They're just not as...
Capricorn could be the pettiest, but they don't got time for that.
Capricorn will not even acknowledge you. They'll just be like...
I'm so glad you said Virgo.
It is Virgo.
Yes.
They're super petty, but you gotta give it to Virgos because...
Y'all are amazing.
They are so hypercritical of themselves.
Yeah, true. They'll go
beyond
in on themselves
belief.
first.
I don't care what your Virgo placement is, sun, moon, rising, that it just projects onto everybody else because it's just ingrained in them.
Oh, yes.
And it's also a self-defense mechanism because they already know that they're not perfect. Nobody's perfect, just so you know, Virgo. It's okay.
Virgos are perfect. Oh yeah.
But they are about as
improvement, but it's
about
actual
as perfect
magic.
as it gets. But that also goes to 6th house suns.
They're so
6th house
perfect,
suns, too.
they're imperfect. Like Michael
They're
Jackson.
just hypercritical. I mean, whether it's a Virgo placement or a 6th house placement, they walk in a room and they can see something that's off kilter. They can see something that's got a dust ball in the corner of the room. They're going to notice the spelling mistake. They can't help it.
Michael Jackson nitpicked himself to death.
Yeah, I believe
because
that.
he was so perfect. He was imperfect to himself, and then he like.
Well, look at all the shit that he did with his plastic surgery. I mean, it was just it never. Yeah.
When like they were perfect to begin with. So it's interesting. Like it teaches you a lot about magic, but like now that we went through the elements, okay, before we actually go into the signs, now what do you think about the shadow of fire and air signs versus earth and water? Do you think that's a little different?
I feel like the shadow of earth and water is so much more obvious because it's naturally yin energy.
So the sun
you're
will
gonna
show
see
that.
Yeah, you're going to see
that's
that.
That's so true.
Versus air and fire, you don't always see that.
That's so
you see
real.
more action and like kind of like look over here versus like earth and water, they can't hide that, and there is something about the shadow that is meant to be complementary to the air and the fire signs, which are definitely like more kind of solar energies.
Okay. No, I love that. That was so awesome. So, all right, let's go in on Aries. Aries, you are so motherfucking selfish because you know you're the one. And so you're interrupting people because you know what they say doesn't really matter. I'm sorry. Like it matters, but it's not you, so it doesn't really matter.
I love that Aries are extremely rambunctious and kind of like quick moving and can be very aggressive, but they're the biggest babies of the zodiac.
No, 0 to 2. That's true.
Right? Like Aries sun,
in
Aries moon, Aries
rising.
Like you have no problem starting shit with other people and being confrontational, but the second it's flipped on you, it's like, oh, forget it.
So like I didn't know astrology growing up, and I didn't understand why we'll go out at dinner, and then, my Aries dad is like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, they didn't order this on my meal. And I'm like, yo, there are people looking at us. Or we're driving and they're just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And it's like, oh, you're like in your 60s and you smacked like 20-year-olds because they didn't give you your phone. Like, like Aries shit. And I'm like, wow, like, it always makes me question my masculinity. Like, am I man enough? Like, would I do that necessarily? Am I a bitch? Like, holy shit. But yeah.
But I think that the darker side of Aries, if it's not channeled appropriately, does become combative rather than strategic. Right? It's combative, not strategic. Because what Aries learns is how to not just survive, but to move into the later degrees of Aries, so that way you can move into like the Taurus kingdom where you're very stable and secure and you have what you need, but you have to go out and start fire and like fight for it and like, hunt or do whatever you have to do to survive.
Because they start so much too.
Well, they start things, but they don't finish them.
You can see this with Logan and Jake Paul. Like the sin of Aries is where like they can make actions that can fuck other people up. So like Logan Paul's antics, even though Jake Paul was like perhaps the one who got more in trouble, certain things that Logan Paul did like really affected Jake, and you saw that he was the first to do it in that Aries sense. But you know, outside of that,
just what about the fact that they will just keep
butting heads?
You know, really it's literally like seeing a ram. You know, I've seen like Aries people get in people's faces and like they want to get in literally in their face.
The most violent Gemini I've ever met. Like I've never really met Geminis that are really that like. The only Gemini woman that like every day she'll be talking about who she smacked the fuck in the face. Aries moon. I was like, yo, first of all, you're the one. Like, you're like, she don't give a fuck.
If I had like
it is what it is.
Like a scoreboard for how many people that I think about hitting in the face in a regular day, it's like not normal. It's not normal.
I was obsessed with the Capricorn with the Aries moon, and she was a total bitch. Like she didn't even.
Aries moon are not for the faint of heart.
No, like y'all don't play around. Y'all are mean as fuck. Y'all are mean. Like holy shit.
But we get over our moods very quickly.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just we get over it very quickly. But I think that Aries, the darker side of it is like learning that you can't fight fire with fire, that you can't just keep headbutting and running into something, that you have to learn to just back off. Otherwise, you just constantly burn stuff down.
Yeah. And the lesson of Aries is going from the warrior to the hero, coming into Leo. The bougie Aries, Leo.
The bougie Aries.
Yeah. Speaking of bougie, we have Taurus.
All right.
Taurus, you know, and I'm so glad we did the elements first because you do see a tone down. Like Taurus is very much so the connoisseur. It takes the grapes of Aries, turns it into fine wine. So once again, I would feel like the negative of Taurus is really more possessive, maybe greed, maybe laziness, hedonism. I'm very biased because my Venus is in Taurus. Unless influenced by other energies, I don't really feel like Taurus is a really bad vibration. I think it's less susceptible to corruption than the other three, but because of how solid it is. But as far as shadow, oh my gosh, like that's money laundering right there too. I feel like there's just so much more of an emphasis on possessiveness,
and greed, owning people. Hoarding, yeah. Materialism, self-pleasure.
Yeah.
You know, where I think Taurus is like, that's mine. You know, I hear that a lot from like Taurus placements. That's mine. That's my food, my money, my relationship, my job, And that's okay to an extent because you can define those things, but when you're kind of not willing to merge, even though Taurus is a Venusian sign, it lacks what Libra brings to the table. Was like, well, what about what we are doing? Taurus is like, no, what about mine? So there's this over-fixation on that, over-fixation on accumulation of people, food, handbags, cars, dollar bills.
So like it could be very materialistic and
they considered traditionally in holistic astrology that the second house was the gate of Hades.
That makes sense.
And it makes sense because it's, but it's also talking about, I think, the physical sins, you know, like gluttony and,
by your senses. And
just this, like overdoing the senses. But Taurus ultimately wants quality. And I think where Taurus can get off track is when they're losing touch with quality versus quantity.
Yeah.
Right?
That's very
because
true.
they want stuff that's natural, but they can also kind of lose track of that and go, but I want what's designer, and I want what's most expensive, I want what's the most rich in flavor, or I don't know. I think that's, and it
could be a positive, but it also could be a shadow.
I think it's different because I have a Scorpio stellium in the second house.
Right, yeah.
So I look at that and go like, oh, like all of those things that are like real primal desires, whether it's sex, food, money, what feels good, tastes good. Like for me, the senses are so important that I recognize that as long as you're doing it within limits, it's fine. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think that probably one of the darker sides is just going to be, you know, possessiveness and materialism when you're dealing with Taurus in general.
Yeah. And the shadow of Taurus would not be valuing another person to be their own person. So
they can also be very rigid. And I don't say that just in a sense of being fixed. That's true. Yeah, but rigid, like they're solid. Mm-hmm. You know, like if you have seen a bull, like you can't go and pick a bull up and get them out of, you know, the barn or the yard or wherever they're grazing. I mean, they're heavy, and if they lay down, you're not moving them.
It's actually the best part of them that's also like a double-edged sword, because the slow rigidity makes it hard to like disassociate and think about certain concepts that like water and air signs can just like conceptualize.
Right.
But it's not real to Earth. So that can end up being a shadow because I don't know. This is, of course, a shadow of Taurus, right? But so when we get to Gemini, which kids say the darndest things, once again, personally, I feel like Gemini is the only air sign that isn't evil, to be honest.
I feel like as an honorary Gemini, you have to like preface this by being like, let me plead my case.
Y'all hate this for no reason. I feel like we're like diet petty Virgo. We just don't have the focus to be as petty as Virgo. But we're just be like
no, you just want to save face. So you guys don't want to actually be the bad guys. You'll be like, no, we're cool, and then you vanish. You know, or like whatever, because you don't want to have to tell like it is. Yeah.
As well. You know, Gemini. The dark side, or Gemini will mirror that dark side, but it's not like Sagittarius that's ascended. It has to learn. Gemini's shadow is like learning darkness from people who peer pressure you, in a sense. And like that's the Gemini in like 5 to 7. It's incredibly, it's smart, right? But I mean, even crimes statistically, whereas Cancer has like the most percentage of crimes of passion because they can get so emotional, Gemini crimes are usually more petty. It's not more even though they're on a serial killer list, but it's more like, you know,
which is all mutable signs, by the way.
More Virgo, and Pisces, because you know, Virgo, we gonna get to you, Virgo, because you definitely the master. But Gemini, I feel like the shadow of Gemini, because they can communicate so well, is being too Machiavellian. I feel like if I didn't have Capricorn as a moon and Venus as a Taurus, I would be a straight con artist Gemini, because I know how powerful my words are and I could lie my ass off. Like Gemini could be so Machiavellian that the ends will justify the means, and kind of like Sagittarius, they won't have empathy for other people, so they'll feel like they can justify what they're doing. And you know, thankfully having integrity like will keep you from that. But because Gemini is the truth, we can be the best liars. I mean, Pisces takes the cake, but Libra and Pisces take the cake, but we can be the best liars if we wanted to be.
I feel like Gemini, and you know, I like doing these episodes because I feel like obviously, you know, we have experiences. You hear these conversations all the time in like coffee shops, like you going out to dinner, or you're at the store, like, oh, you see such a Gemini, you know, or never again. And so I feel like I've had a lot of experiences with Geminis that haven't gone well. I'm like a recovering Gemini addict.
Oh my God! Oh,
that's the conclusion that I've come to. But I also recognize that you're attracted to what you lack. So I don't have mutable placements in my chart. I don't have any air in my chart. So obviously that kind of that balances me out. But I realize that Geminis really aren't villains. It's that
Pisces is the real villain.
Gemini has this energy because it's so mercurial that it wants to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. It's like you could talk to Gemini about something, they could go, yeah, that's totally a thing. Like it's and they'll tell you this whole story, and it could be bullshit or it could be real. You'll never know. So because they're constantly playing on words,
just want to say it just to see how it feels.
Right, but that's what it is. It's like
Right.
talking to a fucking parrot. I love you.
No, it's true.
But that's what it is. It's like
You
talking
know
to a
what?
parrot.
Hold on. I love that my water sign Cancer sister told me this years ago when Jupiter's a Cancer. Like, I love you, Mike, but you're just like a bird. Like, that's all you do. Like, Gemini just says like the.
They'll just talk back. I mean, you
Right.
guys will talk forever, and it doesn't matter what you're talking about. And then sometimes you guys just do nothing but talk, and it's like a fax machine. There's just things
It's like a bird
constantly
on the
coming
shoulder.
through.
This, that,
Yeah,
this,
which
that.
is fine. If you want to have like
And
a
we feel like we have
mindless
to say everything we
conversation and
think.
talk about the craziest possible thing that can
And nothing
happen,
at the same time.
Gemini. But I think that there's this side to you guys that also knows that you can kind of turn tricks with words. And some of you guys become kind of like almost halfway believing your bullshit, which is kind of scary. But by the same token, it's like, okay, cool. It's this very kind of youthful, fun, anything is possible, let's scramble words type of energy. But I don't think Gemini are the villains. I think that you guys can't help yourselves. This is what I've learned. And you guys genuinely don't, you want to keep things light and detached and kind of fun. And like anything is possible. And there's always this second path or second option. So you're always kind of pivoting. And I think because you might be just as indecisive as Libra, maybe you won't admit it because you'll try a couple different paths and then...
Well, we know how to put on a mask, so it won't look like whereas it actually Libra is a lot more decisive than people will give credit to, but Gemini, remember, is like a kid. It's like a child. So like it's deceptively childish.
I've just learned that I think that
And we can play dumb like so well.
you guys know that you can pivot and kind of turn on a dime and show another side of yourself. And so many fucking Geminis will also be like, but I'm a Gemini. Like, don't hold me accountable. Like, even if they're not into astrology, they'll be like, well, you know, I have two faces. Like,
Which is actually remarkable because like if astrology is fake, how come we all do that? How come we all like that? You know what I mean? But like I've learned it's different to be a Gemini rising versus having Gemini in the second, right? So like now the quality of my mind is Geminian. And it's been hard for me to accept that like it's two different, you know, or sides or the yin and yang. But now I've come to see it as like,
oh shit, there you go.
three, you know, like word magic and like the devil and the angel on the shoulder. And this is all very important. Everything about Aries, Taurus, and Gemini really leads into Cancer, which is the holy mother pot. But you know, this is the angel and the devil. The devil is an angel, right? But I feel like also there's nothing more contagious than an idea. And
Yeah.
right.
Well, I think we saw a lot of that with Trump in office. It's just like, let's talk about this. This could happen. That could happen. And a lot of things that may not actually materialize. And it's not
Gemini
because
can lie with the truth.
you're
Leave the
lying intentionally, but because you actually either A, believe your bullshit, or B, you're going to try to talk your way into something until it materializes.
Believing the bullshit is 12th house Taurus, by the way. Like,
I think that, you know, but Gemini placements that have a substantial amount of Taurus, because you're going to see that. You're going to see Gemini with Taurus placements, and you're going to see Cancer with Gemini placements, just because Mercury is always going to be somewhere near the sun, as is Venus. It will be relatively close. It's grounding. So I think that maybe you're not the stereotypical, you know, Gemini placement that you would see, but...
Me personally, no, not
Yeah.
at all. The only thing I have in Gemini is my sun, and I have so much Cap in Taurus. Like, people are surprised to find out I'm Gemini sometimes until I start talking, and then they're like, "Oh shit!" Yeah, but like, okay, so the dark side, the shadow of Cancer is so psychologically complex. This opens the doorway into.
I feel like the
much.
dark side of Cancer is smothering.
And this is also when the child goes through puberty.
Yeah.
So like this is where we start to ponder, you know, with feelings. A lot of what makes people turn to the dark side is because of extreme feelings.
Yeah.
So Cancer leading into Leo is where we start to step into evil, but because evil is so intelligent, it's not truly there yet. It's still manipulated. This is where Cancer and Leo can be so pure that this is a birth of righteousness. Unless they're manipulated, then they want revenge. They want to seek the, you know, it's very developmental. So
I think of Cancer just like as like hysterical energy. Like the darker side of Cancer is just like complete hysteria. The psychoticness of like not being able to like
an abandonment,
let go of something. It can also be very kind of Stockholm syndrome-y in a way. Pisces can be like that too, but like I think
Pisces is more aware of what they're doing, where Cancer I feel like is more naive.
Yeah. Yeah, but by the same token, it's like the reflecting on the past and the repetition. So I think what we see with a lot of Cancer placements obviously is moodiness. That's just kind of part of the course with that sign, but there's this reflecting on the past and like where we've been and not letting it go and like getting into like that toxic cycle of, well, how things have always been, or how my mother was, or how my grandmother was, or how my childhood was. And then this fear of sometimes breaking out of that, whether that's leaving the house.
Right.
We see like lots of like smothering maternal energies
and homebody
of that. Yeah.
Homebody isolation and antisocial behavior.
Yeah.
Which is so crucial with Cancer, because Cancer is the point of individuality where we start to break through out of the shell and be social in Leo and gain courage.
Right.
So I want to, like, different Cancers who don't even know each other say this about Scorpio, and I want to see what you feel about this, because my younger sisters are Cancer and Scorpio with opposite moon signs, and I've seen them war with each other. Like, my Scorpio sister was just so like dark side. Like when we were children, she had my Cancer sister play the slave game and convinced her to do anything that she wanted to as a baby. And then when it came to her time, she never did it. And my Cancer sister is like spilling the beans years later, like, yeah, like she's evil. Like you have no idea. So like I've heard different Cancers say like, we emotionally manipulate people, but not like Scorpio. Like we do it positively. So as a Scorpio, what do you feel?
I feel like Cancers will do it in a way that's like playing on your emotional needs.
Right.
Right.
Like they try and help you, or
versus Scorpios are going to look at your weaknesses and they're going to figure out your weaknesses and play on your weaknesses to make you feel less than.
Yes!
So you will do it. It's true.
It's so good. You heard her say that, yes.
It's true.
Y'all the masters of that. It's like, holy shit.
Like a Cancer energy is like, why would you want to go out to eat? You don't want to eat me. You don't want me to make you dinner. Why would you want to move out? What's wrong with the house? Like they're gonna guilt you, and there is this sense of being like everything I give to you. Scorpio's gonna look at you like they wouldn't piss on you, and then you would be like, oh my god, please, like forgive me.
Y'all are the coldest signs in the zodiac. The coldest motherfuckers for sure. It's like kind of
somebody has to be the villain.
Well, see, I feel like Scorpio is like the villain, but not really the villain. I feel like they're the misunderstood villain. Like, they're open with how dark they can be, but people just react
on the inside,
more
Scorpios
extremely.
are like all fluff though. We'll get to that.
That's wild. I mean, there's so many different archetypes, but yeah. So Leo is, first of all, we love you, Leo. That's the main character, and so many people be jealous of fixed signs, particularly Leo, because I mean, you either got the fixed sign quality or you don't.
I love that. You either have the fixed sign quality or you don't.
You either,
I feel that. I receive that.
You don't. Right. Like I got Taurus, but you know what? I don't got Leo. I don't got Scorpio. I'll be awkward in social situations. I stick to my lane though. I got the Taurus. If you got the Aquarius, you got the knowledge.
The only thing I don't have is Taurus. That's it. I got the South Node in Leo, the North Node in Aquarius, and the
I got South Node Leo too. But
yeah, that's why we work though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, but like, yeah, you either got it, and like people who don't got it, like they be jealous as fuck.
And Leo knows that, and they have no problem telling you that.
Yes. So Leo is mischievous too.
Well, but here's the other thing: is that you like it's like it's true. It's big main character energy, but I feel like Leo always needs a sense of drama because it's very much like them succeeding, them being the main character, them being the hero.
A storyline.
There's storyline. So even if everything's fine in a Leo's life,
that's why they love Libra.
they're gonna
it's like,
start fucking drama. They're gonna start drama
You know who
because
does
they
that
need
too?
the drama.
Sagittarius does that too.
Well,
like on a
Sagittarius
water
just
level.
wants to.
They want war though.
Sagittarius wants to be able to create a storyline so they could be like, and this is what I think you should do. They're just know-it-alls.
Yeah.
And I love Sag, but they want to be able to
see.
create a situation so that way they can show everybody or teach everybody through example.
But I love that
Yeah.
you said that about Leo because that's so true. It's like they generate like drama. Like Gemini is more comedy with the Sag, but Leo is drama. And like it's social, right? So once we step into social signs literally need other people because like if a performer performs with no audience, they're not gonna feel like they did anything. So this is where
it's drama, it's passion, it's also I think standing out. I think that, and I love this because I've seen so many Leo clients, Leo risings. I have a lot of Leo risings in my life. I have a few Leo suns, and I just noticed this tendency that everything's going along fine. And when it starts to become a little bit too predictable, they got to like create some drama and shake some things up so that way, you know?
They be cheating too. Aries be cheating, but I feel like it's purer than the way Leo and Sag be cheating. I don't know.
Leo is going to go with their heart. So wherever they're feeling most drawn or called.
See, like as an air earth sign, I'm just like, whatever.
I mean,
you heartfelt beings. I'm just.
But they can't help it. They have to be center stage.
See, they can't help it too. That's the thing. Like water and fire are so drawn passionately. Like in the moment, it would just be impossible to go against their nature. So that's how you learn elementally. You know, it's very temperamental, and I feel like Leo is the most stable out of those fire signs.
What? Leo is the most stable? You think so? I mean, yeah, okay.
No,
right.
but I love that you said that because on paper they are, but maybe they're not. Because like when they're not stable, they're the worst out of the three.
No, I think you're right. I think
like when they're stable, they're
right
stable,
now,
but when they're not,
2022 is not a year for Leos.
You're right, because they got the opposition.
Because you got the opposition in the squares, but. I mean, I think you're right because I don't know which one's worse, an Aries or a Sag, functioning at the lower, vibrational energies of course.
Aries. Sag can do the worst, but they know better. Aries
I feel like Sag does it anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. And Sag can do it the worst. They're the wildfire, but Aries is the most base. Like Aries is the most vulgar. It's not as it doesn't have the knowledge.
I always
Aquarius.
tell Leo, I'm like, just give him a show, baby. Give them a show.
But they
I learned to just sit back and just watch.
And Leo is the type of sign that'll be like, ooh, all these bitches hate me. Let me piss them off. Like do you
want some of this?
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, let's get another shot.
You looking thirsty?
But the most important thing to say about Leo, right? Leo teaches us about self-love. Leo is narcissism. So there's narcissism.
Fuck.
And then there's narcissistic personality disorder.
Okay, hold on. This is where Mike shows you his diploma.
Right. So everybody has narcissism everyone has Leo in their chart. Everyone's a narcissist. But the shadow of Leo is, bitch, I'm the main character and you're not important. And like you should be honored to be in my presence.
Like Leos when they're on their shit?
They're on their shit. They're the fucking sun. They have to show up every day. It's just, there's other characters in this bitch, Leo. Like you got side characters too, motherfucker. Like it's not just you need and they know this, but like it's the fucking sun. Like they look at themselves in the mirror because they have that glory, and it's like, I know you bitches are gonna forgive me anyway. I just need a redemption arc, and then you'll love me again. And you ain't shit for that. And you know I ain't shit for that. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Because you gotta love Leo, and they know that. And Scorpio takes that to a whole nother level. But they also don't really like you or most people, so they're pure. But like, yeah, it's interesting.
Okay, what about Virgo?
The pettiest motherfuckers alive.
They are.
They're committed. So they're not just gonna be like Gemini childish petty. Like they'll make
They're
you
a whole
remember
different level of mercurial
everything.
energy though too. Because when you look at it in the sign of Gemini, which is mutable air, to mutable earth, it's like Virgo is constantly running around, putting out fires and fixing all of the errors of everybody else. So I can't
And then
blame
watching
them.
Gemini get credit for saying dumb shit. Meanwhile, they're saying real shit, but people love how we say shit. So they don't really like us for that. Because we're in their 10th house. Like, I peeped that. Like, it's kind of hilarious. And then they be throwing shade. Like, Gemini don't even know what he's saying. It's like, nobody asked you, Virgo, but it's all good. But
Because sometimes Virgo won't sack up. That's the one thing I've seen. Virgo has all the capabilities of Gemini or also like Capricorn. And it's interesting because I feel like Virgo is very much a combination of like Scorpio and Gemini.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Virgo is diet Scorpio.
Fuck.
Oh, yeah. And I love that. And then they're the Gemini that can actually focus and like get shit done. So like they're the masters. It's really dope. It's a contender for like one of the best signs. Sagittarius is the best sign. But see, this is where we get behavioral and masterfully manipulative. Because Virgo's shadow is so subtle. Like there's a cloud of overcritical nagginess that doesn't enable you to see how evil they can be.
But they're also extremely, focused on perfection. That I think that they get this rap of being, like super picky or hypercritical, when in reality,
they know what they're analyzing too.
Yeah, but I think beyond that, if we look beyond that, we look underneath the layers, really what it comes down to is that their lower octave or their shadow side is sometimes completely insecure.
Yeah.
Right? It's insecurity
to their own self.
To that, because they're so hypercritical of themselves.
Yeah.
So,
and they'll like do something literally perfect, but like you don't hear notes as perfect into them, so you don't know that little small thing wasn't tuned right. And it's just like, bitch, it was fucking perfect. Like, why do you have to be such a fucking perfectionist? And then it's like, okay, we're not as masterful as you, right? But I don't know, because Virgo is the kindest zodiac sign. Like like you said, they clean up fires. Like it's important to establish that. So,
but they become resentful. One of the lower octaves is resentment for
Have
Virgo.
you heard the prodigal son? The parable of the prodigal son.
Yeah.
I've always felt like Gemini was the prodigal son, or Sagittarius, or Pisces, and then Virgo. Remember the prodigal son brother was like, "Why are we throwing a party for this motherfucker?" Like I was always here doing the work. Like that's totally Virgo.
Yeah,
For
resentment is one of the biggest things that I see for maybe them going above and beyond, or them not asking for appreciation, or them not getting the pat on the back. So then it materializes into this like compounding of like finally they just like blow up and they go mental. Yeah.
That's so true. A lot of anxiety, a lot of nervous energy.
Yeah.
Virgo is definitely one of the... So Virgo and Pisces are the weakest zodiac signs because they're the most magical. So
well, in the 6th and the 12th house in itself, I think
they're karmic.
There's a lot of like reassessing things and getting ready to kind of filter out and decide like what's going to continue on to the next sign.
Exactly.
And Virgo is very personal versus, Pisces is collective. So there's like a lot of, Virgo in the 6th house deals with delays, busy work, having to take care of
health
things, healing
issues,
things, health, but also injuries, accidents, unforeseen enemies.
So that we can correct and adapt.
Yeah.
With Pisces. So they trade that sensitivity in for so much magic and perception, where they might be the weakest, but they can maneuver around people stronger and more powerful than them. And that makes them cunning. And with the shadow, they can play people so well to the point that Capricorn, the master manipulator, looks up to them like, damn, Virgo and Libra. So, okay, now that we get to Libra.
Shit.
Yeah, it's time. So Libra and Pisces are the completion of the first 6. Remember, it's personal. So when we get collective, like, this is where
the gloves come off.
Yeah, like, y'all some evil motherfuckers. Like, I'm sorry. At least with the first 6, it's childish and it's evil, that it's darkness that comes around from unconsciousness. The other 6 are so intelligent, y'all know what the fuck you're doing. And, like, yeah, don't believe that shit. Don't believe that shit. Like when you see Will Smith apologize for smacking the shit out of Chris Rock, and he uses his amazing acting ability to use love in his 10th house Cancer to perform tears falling down his face because he's sincere, so he means it, but he engineered that shit. Like, that's how evil Libra is. Like, y'all are just so fucking intelligent.
My God, who hurt you?
No, that's my favorite sign.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say.
I love Libra, yeah. I'm just saying, like, y'all are so intelligent, you're fucking evil. Like, I see you motherfuckers. And, like, Libra is where we step into that doorway of, like, is what you want bad for you? You know what I mean? Like, it's so, like, Libra and Scorpio are so fucking complex, it leads to the rest of everything.
But you have to understand something about Libra, is that once you enter into the 7th house, whether you're looking at it from the sun in its fall, or you're looking at it from the inverted perspective, Libra understands, because it has to be able to find balance. So if you look at a Libra rising chart, everything's inverted, so you have to be able to do both.
Yeah.
So Libra
so
can have
true.
a tendency to go back and forth. They're indecisive. You ever ask a Libra really want to go out to dinner? Good luck. But also there's a sense of
you'll never know who they are.
detachment, aloofness sometimes, not being able to understand or comprehend feelings or flirting.
You have to understand, like, Gemini does not have the focus and capacity to be evil, but Libra can.
Libra just wants companionship in any capacity, and they will sometimes
They're
inadvertently
cosmic agents.
lead people on.
No,
that is a
they
thing.
know how they're kind of like closet Capricorn, so they can manipulate people.
Well, they have Capricorn in the 4th, so behind the scenes, Libras are very different people than what you see out in public. You see the appearance of Libra, you see
that
the emotional
person thinks
side
I
of the
like
house.
them, and I'm their friend. Ha ha ha.
I feel like Libra, it gets a bad rap because
snap.
there's also this, there is a touch of being superficial.
Oh yeah, well,
that is a thing because they're a Venus sign, but Taurus is like what you have naturally versus what Libra designs or creates. So there can be an over fixation on appearance,
and fashion and aesthetic and image, and they know that. See, that's the thing. Like, Aries' shadow is gonna be so vulgar they'll whoop their dick out on the table. But Libra's shadow is so cunning, they'll know that, well, if I look the part, I don't have to actually be successful because you morons will believe me because I can perform my ass off. Now, Libra is still the hero, though. That's the thing. Like, Aries is the villain, then Leo and Libra and Sag are the hero. So the shadow of Libra exploits the trust you have in heroes so that I can do all sorts of evil shit, but I'm the government. I'm a hero. I'm a celebrity. I'm not going to be evil like that. That's how complex it is. It's like, it's on a whole nother level.
It's like social standings and stuff. I think the dark side of Libra also can be codependence.
Yeah, that's true. Or making people codependent on you.
Yeah, or having a tendency to lose your identity in others. And like we look at just famous Libras, in relationships and stuff, and the fact that they'll have a tendency to really take on that really strong image or like connection to who they're dating, and they lose their identity. So they could become so fixated on that person that then when it changes, they can very quickly move to kind of like the next person. So it's like, wow, was it real? Were they really committed? Did they really love me?
Libras be cheating too, and they'll justify it so easily.
For sure.
Oh yeah, to the point where it's like, damn, that makes sense too.
They're ruled by Venus, though. They're ruled by Venus.
The finesser.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, see, Libra. So when I say Libra is evil, I don't mean that in a I hate you, Libra. It's just like a damn.
Libra is definitely a lot more calculated than we give them credit for.
They're the most intelligent zodiac sign. Like they apply, like it's undefeated.
Because they understand how to read other people and the fact that they can sometimes use people to their advantage. I mean, that's how they'll work.
They're the Gemini that commits people. So like Gemini will think about doing stuff, but they're not gonna do it. Libra has done it.
Yeah.
Watch Focus by Will Smith, and you'll see the shadow Libra, and then. Scorpio. So I feel like Scorpio is so pure that a lot of the dark shit, because like Scorpio has that darkness that it sponsors, but really it's purity. So like the only way Scorpio is evil is because it was corrupted or distorted.
The only way Scorpio is evil is if they allow that storyline that they've always kind of lived by to continue. You know, Scorpio naturally, because it's the ruler of the 8th house, it's going to see things that other people don't see. We're going to see the shadow side.
Yeah.
You go out to dinner, maybe you walk around the park, maybe you go and you get some ice cream and you don't notice anything other than, you know, just what's going on immediately around you. But Scorpio's going to spot the drug deal on the corner. They're going to see the person trying to break into a car.
Even if they're naive and they don't know these things,
they see it.
It's going to come to them.
Yeah, it's really weird because I try to explain it to people, being an honorary Scorpio, and like explain to people that it takes a long time to also get out of that hole, because the sun being in Scorpio, it's like you're automatically programmed to like see the darker, negative, kind of scarier side of things.
Sun too, right?
Yeah. But I think that you have to learn to like get out of that and realize that that is like your gift, is to be able to see through the bullshit. For some Scorpios, they can get kind of trapped in the trauma drama, which then in turn can make them incredibly toxic, very bitter, angry, resentful, vengeful, jealous, possessive, which really, it's a shame because it really keeps them from being able to transmute that energy and do good with it. Like, I'm
also under the firm belief that from Scorpio to Pisces, as children, y'all have the consciousness of 30 to like 50-year-olds. So you don't really have a childhood. Like,
there's a lot of truth in that, because the Scorpio placements come with a lot of drama, death, transition, transformation, fear.
Whereas we'll be naive, you understand a lot more. You're more aware of what these dynamics are.
But just more in tune with the real world. So, you know, a lot of Scorpio placements don't go through that transition of the shock of, you know, becoming an adult and realizing you have to pay taxes, or you have to, people die, you know, or like all of these things. Like a lot of Scorpio placements have experienced that from a very young age, and they understand that life and death need to, they need each other to coexist.
The only one in my immediate family that's had a near-death experience was my Scorpio sister. Got hit by a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trauma.
A mystery, that one.
But I think Scorpios, you know, it's weird because in many ways, like, many of them will show their lower octaves naturally, especially at a younger age. Yeah. But as they get older,
they transform.
They can transform, or it can become very dark night of the soul intermittently.
That actually happened to my sister. Like, she was the evil sister, not according to her, but now she's like so much more. She's so Christian. She won't let me read her natal chart.
Right.
But this is where my Cancer sister is like, don't believe all that shit. Like, it's just like, she's seen a side to her that, like, we didn't as air signs, my mom and I. So, like, and then, of course, she manipulated my fire sign father to, like, get in between our mom and them. Like, it wasn't just, it wasn't, like, her mastermind plot, but, like, there would be those sides there. And at a young age, I got to really understand how mature emotionally Scorpio is versus, like, being able to, like, I don't know. It's really interesting.
For a sign that's connected to sex, though, they have a real difficult time.
Yeah.
Actually learning that it's not just the act of sex; it's like the intimate connection and like vulnerability. So Scorpio, So you think of like Venus being in detriment in Scorpio; it's a Mars sign.
That's true.
It's learning to be open, and it's not. You know, Scorpio is a water sign, so people kind of get that confused. They think Scorpio is a fire sign. Mm-hmm. Scorpios are so.
They manifest Sagittarius.
They're so fixed and so closed off and fearful and judgmental or dismissive because they're afraid of vulnerability and being open and being seen. So they're actually very emotional. I think it's just a matter of like getting through that really kind of tough.
It's just more ice water. It's not like Cancer, which is like warm water. It has to melt first, right? Like you said, it has to get through that exterior.
More like hot water. It's like steam. I mean, I feel like
they say
Scorpio
it's the fire sign of the water, right?
Yeah, but it's also like, I see it as like the female counterpart to Aries. You know, it's like the feminine version of that, of like passion and desire, but where it goes too far or where it becomes too intense or too extreme. And like many people can't handle Scorpio dominant charts or Pluto dominant charts because of the intensity, because it's very black and white, on or off.
And it with Capricorn is dominant power, so a shadow of Scorpio is the extreme seduction, knowing that you can't overcome my seductive wiles and I'm going to manipulate you based off your weaknesses. And I think this is where you see a lot of rape with Pluto.
Yeah.
And I feel like that happens a lot to Scorpio Pluto dominance, where it's just so invisible and like alluring.
It represents a power grab and the taking of the power versus eventually through kind of the Pluto or Scorpio kind of transits or transformation, it's taking the power back and the renewal. So whether it's people who, you know, take your innocence, take your money, you know, take your security, whatever, it definitely represents this energy of having to fight because it's still very much a Mars sign.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you have freaking evil when I want to be
Sag.
Sagittarius. What people don't understand about Sagittarius is that they kick off godhood. So like Gemini can play dumb and Pisces will play victim, but Sagittarius
Plays God.
They kind of are, you know, and they're not Aquarius god level, but they're not celestials, but they're like Zeus, right? The facsimile, and they're so aware, like they look oblivious, but they're so aware of what they're being oblivious to. Their shadow really is the extension of Leo narcissism and not really caring about their consequences, because the Sagittarius in integrity will be the paragon of light and the beam of righteousness. So the dark side of that is literally Satan.
Sag also has this like interesting, because it's very, you know, Jupiter based, it has this real strong connection to, I feel like, raising the bar. Like there's this connection to Sag that has some commitment issues.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to be contained. They want to be free.
Because they can have everything.
Right.
Right.
So whether it's, you know, trying to pin them down and get them to commit to a job or relationship or what have you, there's always this underlining thing in the background that's like pulling them away. Travel, education, philosophy, whatever. And I feel like for them, probably the darker side is just them having like sometimes this holier than thou complex where it's like it doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. If you try to call them on something or kind of, you know, bring something to their attention, they always have this higher, holier than thou kind of self-righteous response.
Aquarius doesn't do it as noticeably, but
Aquarius has facts and scientific data and receipts. Sag is just going to be like, because I said so.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's so important you
accountability issues for sure.
Because they represent the God level, and so their inability to disassociate their awareness with how it shares produces that in the shadow, especially because they're ascended. Like this is such high magic. They realize they kind of exist above certain laws, like they're after Libra. So that's why the first 6 zodiac signs put them in check, where it's like, well, there wouldn't be light without Gemini saying let there be light. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it completes the first 6, but this is how they put each other in check.
I feel like Sag is a lot crazier than Leo in a sense.
Because it wants to be.
You know, like Sag really has this sometimes like very unstable.
They're the wildest.
Kind of look in their eye that's just like, I'll just burn the whole fucking thing down. Like there's something to it that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just it makes me feel like it's very like Riddler type energy dealing with Sagittarius, the darker side. You know.
I feel like and that's the most important thing to understand about Sagittarius that you mentioned earlier. Like Earth and water are going to be open about their darkness. But the brightest light casts the darkest shadow.
Yeah,
and
you're not going to see it as
Sag has 12th
evidently.
house Scorpio, right? So, like, you'll be with the most faithful Sagittarius woman, but, like, she's sucking dicks, like, and you have no idea. She's getting
or she's got all these, like,
her.
secret romances.
Clandestine,
right?
Things
behind the scenes.
And like in her mind, she's justified it because she really loves you. Or that Sagittarius man really loves you. He comes home to you and he doesn't bring diseases. He fucks other women with condoms.
It's so hard
he
though
cares
because
about you.
Sag, if they have their own personal philosophy and they feel like there's some explanation,
and they have integrity to it too. So. That's where it gets tricky and complex.
It gets a little clouded there.
And that's where I'm like, if you're with Sagittarius, you kind of just have to let them be free. Like just you can't really be possessive with them like that, because that's why they 8th house Taurus. Like it doesn't really, you know what I mean? Like it's not like Scorpio.
And the people who try to possess them make them more Sagittarius, like because of the inconjunct. You know, Sag and Taurus, just, it's so interesting to watch that dynamic. Like, I've seen it with clients, I've seen it with friends. The more that Taurus tries to ground everything out, it's like the crazier Sag gets, because they can feel, you know, that there's some sense of super glue coming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Gemini that will believe their bullshit or, like, say certain things and know they can get away with it. Sagittarius knows they can make anything up, and they're so passionate, they'll sell people, they'll sell a dream. And that's really shadow. And then we have Capricorn, which is insensitive enough to know the right thing to do and to actually show you the reason why it's the right thing to do, but do the wrong thing knowing that you see them as the right people. And this is how government corruption finesses you every day. And they don't give a fuck how you fucking feel. You're not gonna do anything to our military. And it is what it is. Like, we have all the collective power. We know exactly how to Scorpio that shit and Pisces that shit, and show you our authority figures so that you believe what we say, and we're really the final word. And it's Emperor Palpatine. I feel like Vader is Scorpio, but Vader still turned good at the end, and then Palpatine is Capricorn. Like, that motherfucker is evil. Like, it is.
I mean, Capricorn has this overfixation, I think, not just with power, but control and status. So definitely the darker side, even if you aren't looking at it in like a more sense of like where they land in
quid pro quo
in their career.
Fucking to the top.
It's just them in terms of like their status, right? And like really willing to do whatever it takes to really get that recognition or that prestige, and like sacrifice, doing without, like being very detached and very cold. You know, Scorpio and Capricorn both are the two signs that are most associated with control. Scorpio realizes that we have to let go in order to kind of like find our strong suit. Capricorn says like, suck it up, I don't want to hear about it, go without lunch, go without dinner, like suffer the cold, like keep going, like life is tough. And I think that's the more challenging side of Capricorn, and the darker side of that energy is that also we just give allegiance to people who have been around longer than us. We have like blind maybe faith in a sense for our elders. Like,
it's
we don't
why
question
Cancer has
it.
Stockholm syndrome, because of Capricorn. And Pisces.
Daddy issues.
Yeah, that too. And
the daddy issue. It's,
you know, Scorpio is still pure, and Capricorn is integrity. So what happens if you don't have integrity? The shadow of Capricorn. It's I'm gonna use all of my resources to
power and wit and to be able to dominate the situation and come out on top. It's the ruthlessness. Capricorn can
shut off emotions and like kill you or destroy you if they have to. No hard feelings. This is business. Like, it is what it is.
It's very mob boss vibes.
The crone, right? And you know, it's interesting because with the dark side of Capricorn, Capricorn is the greatest, right? And that was what I was gonna say with water. Like, water you have to kind of treat differently, because water is out of their element. Like, this is an earth dimension. So water is not in their pure state because they take in so much energy. And
they need to be contained.
Right.
They need a vessel.
They need a vessel, right?
Yeah.
And earth can fully manipulate this and like gaslight the shit out of water, like effortlessly.
Well, and I think Capricorn energy is interesting because they're willing to put in the time.
Yeah.
Where they look at Taurus and they're like,
God.
you're working harder, not smarter, that's cute. And like Virgo's all kind of tied up with their calculations. Capricorn has nothing but time. So it realizes that as long as it hangs around, stays in there, stays at the job, stays in a situation, it's going to come out on top.
That's why Sagittarius, Capricorn, and now Aquarius and Pisces are very dangerous, because they'll put in the time. Like a Capricorn can decide that in 5 years I'm going to kill you, but I'm going to make you think that I'm your best friend.
Saturn time.
Right. Yeah. Aquarius too. Like, I'll make you think I'm your best friend, and then you won't even know I'm the reason you died. Like, evil genius. Oh my God. Aquarius is Oprah and Ellen levels and
Reptilian king.
Jeffrey Epstein levels of evil genius, where I fake my death and I have so much paper. I had an island, and like I'm never going to get, like, Ghislaine Maxwell, Capricorn. None of the people she named went to jail. Like that's the upper executive.
They didn't even crack her black book. They did nothing.
God, like damn.
So what do you think of Aquarius? So what would the darker side of Aquarius be? Now that we're in a very Aquarian year or two.
Transhumanistic AI takeover, but really like we know that Aquarius are the high nobility. And we know that absolute power corrupts absolutely. So the shadow of Aquarius is tricky because, this is high knowledge. And there's a stubborn quality to Aquarius where it knows. So, like, you're not on Aquarius's level. Aquarius control you. Aquarius and Pisces control you the entire time and paint a narrative that you think is true until the very end. You like Aquarius is the villain who used Aries and Gemini to make you think they're the villains, and then you realize Aries and Gemini are troubled, and Aquarius was masterminding it the whole time. And you thought Aquarius was the good guy. So like, it's on a whole nother level.
I think the lower octave energy of Aquarius is, because it's still a very Saturn-based energy, is that's kind of carrying the torch from Capricorn. That's just like, work harder, get it done, it is what it is. Aquarius has this very detached, isolated, singled out, ironically, energy to it that's just, you have to go your own way. And that's just the way that life is. And we got to do what we got to do. And we all play a bigger role in what's meant to happen. And ultimately, there can be, like, using that as an excuse to support the collective, but also not totally feel like it's giving itself to any particular group or cause. Ironically, I feel like that's how I've seen that play out.
And like Aquarius can do stuff for the collective but have an ulterior motive,
or be orchestrating things collectively, or trying to create,
they can create the problem. It's like Libra does this socially. So Libra will cause drama, and then they'll solve the drama and be the hero. Well, Aquarius will cause a war, and then they'll get the money for it's evil genius.
But it's also very, like, futuristic in a way. Yeah. I think a lot of Aquariuses, maybe they're constantly always, like, wanting to rebel, There's always this thing that
whereas Leo wants drama, Aquarius wants to rebel.
They want rebellion, and Leo is very much about the self, where Aquarius is very much about other people. And where does that take away from them wanting, to really fully be seen or commit? Like, they can get lost in the group endeavors.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
It kind of mirrors each other. Like Leo wants drama, which is rebellious, and then Aquarius wants to rebel, which is dramatic.
Yeah.
Which is kind of wild. And then I saw an album picture of like a lion, and across the lion was a gun. And I was like, oh my gosh.
It's so Saturn and Aquarius.
It's like Leo Aquarius.
Yeah.
It's like, the manufacturer's the real. So that, that's just amazing. Because coming into the age of Aquarius is like, maybe too much knowledge is not the best thing, or maybe just being too logical and so detached that you don't have that warmth to really care. I'm very Aquarius biased though. Like, I look up to that sign. So Pisces, you crafty. First of all,
you're always saying Pisces are the real villain.
Yes, y'all are the frauds. Pisces are the frauds of the Zodiac. Like, how many Bow Wow challenges have we had to like see? Because they're so fucking magical. Like, I
feel like they're so similar to Geminis. They're just more evasive.
Yeah, well, see, Pisces is the wise Gemini that doesn't say too much. So like Gemini will that's basically it. That's how they get away with it. So like Gemini will snitch on themselves. Unfortunately, Pisces will just play victim. That is their superpower, playing victim. That is their ultimate shadow power. Like, they will guilt trip the fuck out of you. And like the whole time, like, they're guilty of the crime that they're guilt tripping you of.
But Pisces also have this tendency, this preconceived notion that they have to be alone, that nobody's going to help them, that they're always going to be the outsider, that no matter what they do, nobody's going to understand, or that there is this part of their life that has to be compartmentalized so other people, aren't able to see what's really going on behind the scenes because they'll never get it.
To their defense, they're kind of right.
But I mean, but to some extent, you keep yourself separate. I mean, there is
like
some
Aquarius
sense
does
of,
this too. Yeah.
Yeah, there is some sense of like
and
not
it might be unconscious,
being able to relate, or unconsciously there are things going on that you're not aware of that's like playing out. But that's what actually makes you have those experiences, which makes you feel crazier, and then in turn feel like you need to run and hide.
Yeah, it's just, they are the escape artists too, and they will enable shit. I kind of like that as a Gemini, and not like that about them, but I like it more about them, where they will enable the shit out of like you can't really do certain things around Virgo, but you can do them around some Pisces, because they won't really like criticize you that much for it. There's really no judgment energy.
They can there's a lot of like, once again, like martyrism, like that going on with like those placements. I think it's so interesting just looking at, we've talked about this in the transits that are coming up the next couple of years. Pluto going into Aquarius, is that enough for the age of Aquarius? No. But I think with Saturn and Jupiter, fully moving into Aries 2025, 2026, we're going to start to see what could be the beginning of the age of Aquarius, which is going to be much more about coming together and communal, and like not feeling like we need to make sacrifices, feeling like we need to be more self-sufficient, and like also being able to have our cake and eat it too.
And so this is the dark side
Yeah.
of Libra, Aquarius, Pisces, where it's like, okay, Aries, you can beat me in a fight, but I can lie to hundreds of people and have them all hate you. Libra will manipulate the people. Aquarius will manipulate the collective and have everyone have groupthink, so that Pisces can sell you on these illusions of, we just have to be peaceful and have harmony and just love each other. It's all about love. And they just sell you on these false, like, collective
But Pisces
illusions.
have a tendency to be very different behind the scenes than what you usually see.
Pisces are more two-faced than Gemini. It's just Gemini is sloppy. They're childish. So
At least you admit it.
Yes, we get caught more. Pisces doesn't get caught. Virgo doesn't get caught. These people are way more. If you think Gemini is two-faced, then Sag and Pisces beat us
what
at
about
that.
the
But
fact
they're
that
slick.
Pisces has
They're
this
slick.
inherent need to hide things too.
Right.
Something needs to
That's
be
their
hidden.
philosophy. That's their ninth house Scorpio.
Yeah, something has to be hidden. So like I think about like whether it's serial killers or drug dealers or mafia heads or like whatever, we see a lot of really significant Pisces placements in some of these people. Not because they're criminals, not because they go to jail or prison,
They're just really misunderstood.
They're misunderstood, and there is a side to them that is either incredibly subconscious or things that they feel like they need to hide, which in turn, ultimately, I think, end up being the prime reason for why they end up kind of being aggressive sometimes, because Pisces can be a little aggressive. People think that they're passive, but
no, they're passive aggressive until they're not.
Yeah.
And then they're super aggressive, and they have this occult philosophy, so you really never know what the fuck. Like Gemini is mysterious in a more unconscious way, where Pisces is deliberately mysterious because they know you can't really handle the fullness of what they are, to be honest. And it's everything you really said,
Yeah.
So it's interesting, but that's the divine, that's the ascended masters, the divine signs. Shout out to you, Pisces. You notice that as we get to the higher signs, the greater they are, the worse the shadow is.
Yeah.
Or
it's just more visible.
What was more visible?
More visible.
Because you'll see Gemini battling Scorpio with who's the worst zodiac sign, but it's sometimes Pisces. Like everyone has a Pisces story.
Yeah.
Where Pisces is
Well, I also feel like
like
Sag to Pisces is just more inherently acceptable and visible in terms of their personality and their demeanors for their sun sign.
And then you said fire, water, earth, air too. So that's so true.
Well, hoping you guys like this episode. Hoping you guys didn't take offense to it. Everybody's got their shit, everybody's got their shit. But we thought it'd be a cool idea just to talk about like the darker side of the personalities. Let us know. Do you resonate with these? Did we touch on some sensitive spots? What are your big three?
Who's the darkest sign to you in your opinion?
I would love to hear that.
Right. Is it a fire sign or is it a
Sagittarius has entered the chat.
Right. The daredevils. Oh, wow.
But definitely let us know. And always, thank you guys so much for your likes, your comments, your shares, your subscriptions, joining our membership, supporting the podcast. You make it possible for us to keep doing this. Thank you guys so much for your support. And we will see you all very soon. Take care.
Peace.